And welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. That's right. I said welcome back because I know you were just listening to our stuff and you loved it so much that you wanted to come back for more. That was brilliant. That was fantastic because we have a lot more for you. The reason we have so much more for you is because this is the podcast. It's about podcasters, it's for podcasters, and it's done by podcasters. My guest today is a podcaster. You figured it out, folks. You cracked the code. You really are a genius. And I'll tell you something else. He's a three-time podcaster. That's right. This guy's serious. I love this. I can't wait to talk to him and talk to you folks about everything he's doing. Folks, this is the place where we all come together to lift each other up. And this is the place where the rising tide raises all ships. So let's get sailing. Let me introduce you to the host of three different podcasts, Lethal Venom. He's also the host of Southern Reads. And finally, the host of Music Talks. So please welcome the host of all three of those podcasts, Noah May. Noah, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you so much for that was a great intro and I cannot wait for our conversation. But happy to be here and I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm wonderful, and thank you for asking. Yeah, I appreciate that. I've had a chance to listen to the Lethal Venom, and I really like that one. But as we kind of get into this, before we start talking about the individual podcasts, why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about you? You know, what's your story? Who is Noah? How'd you get into this whole podcasting thing in the first place?
Yeah, as you said, my name's Noah May. I'm from the great state of Alabama. I went to Auburn University and graduated recently with a bachelor's in journalism. And the journalism kind of played a role in how I do podcasting today. But podcasting kind of started a few years ago. I had this idea of wanting to start doing podcasting, and there's a lot I can go into more detail, but that's kind of just a little bit about myself. I um was really quiet growing up and never really had wanted my story to be shared, or people didn't really give me that chance to be able to open up and be like, this is what I'm going through, this is what my opinions on views are. And so that's kind of why I got into podcasting, was to kind of let those views and my personal opinions be able to be shared.
Nice, nice. Well, first of all, go Tigers. So good for you. I've never been a fan of Auburn, but man, I really don't like Alabama. So I've found myself
Yeah.
rooting for Auburn quite a bit over the years.
Yeah.
So, all right, man, I love that. And congratulations on the degree in journalism and everything else, man. That's just great. So
Thank you.
the first podcast that you put out, okay, when you decided to start doing this thing that all of us crazy podcasters are out here doing, right, was Southern Reads. That was your first podcast. So what made you start that particular podcast, which I guess is about books and whatnot? What led you to that, and how'd that go?
So the process of how I got into podcasting is so long. It was a 4 year process and it was like a 4 year making.
Hmm.
In 2021, I decided that I wanted to do podcasting for some reason. I was like, woke up and decided to do podcasting. But I had no knowledge of how podcasting works or what to do. So I then played the role into researching and finding everything about podcasting, and I couldn't really find any definite things. Everyone kept telling me differently. But there was just one thing that kept popping up that was called Anchor, which before it was, at the time it was Anchor, but Spotify took ownership of it and then they rebranded it as Spotify for podcasters. So that's what it's called now, but at the time it was
Yep.
Anchor. And it was just a platform where you could record your voice and you didn't really have to do much editing and you didn't have to worry about this RSS feed, which I had no idea what that was at the time. And you could just upload it to all these platforms and it would just be done. So once I got that figured out, then it came the process of what do I want to talk about? And so fast forward a few years, I had some personal stuff come up where it kind of I put the podcast on kind of the back burner and I would always just put that to the side. And then when I transferred to Auburn, it was my first year there. There was this man, we had a man come to class And I thought he was just going to talk about sports journalism because that's usually what majority of the male speakers for this class came to talk about. But the first thing that came out of his mouth was podcasting. And I kind of alerted my attention because it was something different. And I thought, this is a sign for me. And he had said that he was opening up a podcasting class that next year. That if you were interested and wanting to be a part of that class, you can go ahead and start signing up and being on the wait list for it now. So I went to my advisor, told her that I want to be first pick for this podcast class. And luckily enough, I was able to get in there. And one of the assignments that we had to do was pitching a podcast idea to the class about what we wanted our podcast to be. And it was just kind of pitching it, kind of like at a job you pitch ideas. And I was an avid reader, which I still am, but at the time I had really gotten back into that. So I thought, well, I'm just gonna start. I won't recommend that podcast first because I thought, well, that's an easy thing for me to do. It's a passion that I like to do, and there's not many book podcasts out there that are the style of what I wanted to do. So I pitched that idea to the class, but in the process of that, Lethal Venom started kind of forming during that time. And so I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to do the book podcast or pitch the unnamed Lethal Venom at the time. And I think I did pitch both, but I did go with the book one first. So I pitched Southern Reads, and some people had different opposing opinions. They got mixed reviews from the class. Some people thought it was a good idea. However, they didn't really think the name was great, or they didn't think that the style of what you wanted to do was good. And so I kind of just, it was one of those things where I didn't really listen to their opinions for it. I kind of just went and ran with the idea. I didn't really care what they said. I was real passionate about books, and I thought I'm just gonna still do it. I don't care what y'all say. So I ran with it. I think I also pitched this podcast at the time, and I think they had the same reaction. It was kind of mixed reviews. It was kind of like, well, I like it, but I don't know how well it would do. And so that's kind of how Lethal Venom came to be, was just from pitching ideas. It was just kind of an idea. And the book one, I started posting and it did okay at first, but then I started posting Lethal Venom as well. And for some reason, this podcast took off. And so I've made this one my main priority, and so then I put the book podcast on like side.
Hmm.
So I didn't focus on that one as much as I have Lethal Venom because this one has done so well. It just grown, and I didn't want to lose that momentum. So I wanted to kind of focus all my priorities on this show and then put the other ones, and then music talks came to be because apparently I don't like to shut up. So I was like, I like music. There's not many music, so I came up with the Music Talks podcast, and that's kind of the history of how all three have come to be. It was just kind of like back to back to back ideas that just kind of come from my head, and I actually have a fourth one in mind. I just don't like to shut up. So I have a fourth one in mind, but I don't really want to fully say what it is right now because I want to kind of tease it a little bit because I didn't really tease these three ones out. The music one I kind of did, but for this one I kind of wanted to throw Easter eggs in there, and
Hmm.
I kind of want to help promote it and kind of secretly say it, gradually announce it. So I have ideas, but I'm not ready to announce it yet.
Gotcha. All right. Is there any little thing you want to tell us about the new one coming up?
It's generic. It's kind of basic. It kind of it fits in one category, but it's common. So I'll put it
Okay.
at that.
All right. All right. We're going to leave it at that. I'm not going to keep pressing you on it. I got you. I got you. He's not ready. He's not ready, folks. You're going to have to wait till he comes back next time. He can talk about his new podcast. All right. Perfect. All right. So, the book podcast, now I know you put that off to the side a little bit, but it's still publishing, right? I mean, you're putting that out regularly?
I haven't posted since April, and that's only been because Lethal Venom actually started taking off right around that. when I stopped posting on the book podcast. That's actually when it started taking off.
I see.
And so I have not posted anything on there. I desperately want to start posting on there again because I have a lot of good episode ideas coming up, and how the format of it is, it's kind of it's sort of like book club virtually. That's the best way I can really explain it. So I would read I would read a book on my own, and then I would basically kind of come on here and just do a book club of it where I would discuss the book. I would kind of tell the plot details in it. So it would be more of a spoiler free, or it would be a spoiler type show. So
Got
I'll
it.
do so I would recommend, if people, when I start posting those kinds, it would be a I would read the book first, and then once you've read it, then listen to it. So
Gotcha.
then it kind of would be kind of a book club type style.
Right.
Um, I do it all by myself too, so that's kind of different as well. Usually when you do book club, you have multiple people talking and it's
Mhm.
just me. So I really would like to start posting on there and like getting that podcast up and going, but I honestly have just put so much work and focusing on this, I don't want to sidetrack from it. So I've kind of gotten to the point where I've gotten too many ideas and too many podcasts up, but I've liked it, but I like all three of them. I don't want to just drop it. So it's kind of like I don't know how to balance all this and everything. So it's kind of I've put everything on the back burner. I'll just put Lethal Venom first.
I hear it. I have three podcasts myself and a fourth in progress that's going to release like this week. It is a ton of work. So I'm right there with you. I mean, and it's people who don't do it don't really have any idea how
No.
much work it really is. So I'm feeling your pain, man. I really am. I mean, four podcasts is crazy. It really is a lot of work. Good for you, but good luck also, because man, that's a lot. That is a lot. Let me
Yeah. And it's
go ahead.
all my work too.
I was just going to ask you that. Are you doing it all yourself, or are you farming anything out, or you have any virtual assistants or anything? You're doing all of it.
I do all of it by myself. I've done everything from designing the artwork, which I'm not an artist, so it was all AI work based.
Hmm.
So I used AI to help do all the podcast artwork for it. Um, I do all the recording for it. I do all the editing for it. I make all the teasers and trailers for every episode.
Holy
I run
cow.
all the social media accounts. So it's running three social media accounts as well as running and editing three episodes. I don't have it. I would at some point like help, but I don't have the financial things to actually be able to pay someone for the hard work. So
Right.
it would basically be someone just doing it for free, and I'd hate for them to do all this hard work and I get paid for it. So it's more of a I would like help. I just can't right now afford one.
Sure.
But for what it is, it's not difficult. And this is kind of where I think a lot of people get discouraged of wanting to do it. It is a lot of hard work. However, if you focus on one podcast and it's only have one, it's not as much as just stress. Which I technically just do one podcast now. I don't really film and do all this stuff for the other two. I just really film and record for this one.
Hmm.
So I essentially am just working and doing one podcast, but some people think that even running one podcast is just too much. And it's
Sure.
like you have a lot of hard work, and it is a lot of hard work. However, it once you kind of get into a routine and a good schedule, it's not as difficult as people say it is or how people think it is.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's a great way of saying it. The podcast Lethal Venom then. Let's talk about that for a second because this is your big one. Not I'm being ironic, of course, but Lethal Venom is the one that's killing it right
yeah.
now, right? So
Yeah.
that's great. I've had a chance to listen to this. For those who are listening who have not yet had a chance to listen, what should they expect when they look this up, on Spotify and they click play and they're ready to dive into this? Tell everybody what Lethal Venom is, what you do on there, and what they can expect.
Yeah, so the Lethal Venom podcast was more of a raw version of me. It's probably the most honest podcast you'll hear. And I essentially at first just wanted it to be a solo episode and I just wanted it to be completely my own. Um, so at first when I first started it, it was more of a variety type show. All my life I had dealt with mental health struggles. I dealt with depression, anxiety growing up. And I also was kind of an outcast. No one ever really wanted to hang out with me. No one ever wanted to do stuff with me or just hear my story or hear what I had to say. And I wanted this podcast to be my chance to be able to have my story shared and for my voice to be heard. And so it started out as that. And then around May, I have I got an email from a guy that worked at a company called Podmatch, which you're on it there as well.
Yeah.
It's I had never heard of this company before. I had never heard of it prior, but the founder of it actually emailed me and said, I found your podcast and I thought that you'd be a good fit for our platform. Would you be interested in having your podcast submitted to be featured on our website?" And at that time, I had actually been dealing with a lot of scam emails for job offerings. And and so I was really hesitant about accepting it at first because I didn't want it to be another scam.
Sure.
So I did a lot of research, looked into a lot of reviews, I checked everything out, and I didn't see one negative review. And I thought, well, give it a shot. So I gave it a shot, signed up for it, and it honestly has been the best thing I ever did. It's been such a great experience. I've not had any negative things about it yet. Everything that has actually that the guy emailed me about was actually legitimately true. I've not had one false statement come about. I've not had anything lying from it. Everything that he had told me was truthful. Um, I'm very happy that I did take it because it was one of the best decisions I made. But yeah, for what people can expect, it's very much raw. It's very honest conversations I have with people on there. I've had people from all different backgrounds come on and share their stories, but I've talked about I've talked about paranormal stuff on there. Um I've had interviews with cops and had retired military men on there that have talked about PTSD, um, their own struggle with mental health as well as bipolar disorder. I've had people come on and talk about suicide. Um, I actually just had a interview with a very nice lady that told me a bunch of trigger warnings and stuff that it was like the most raw interview I've done. She just opened up and it was very triggering to me. So it'll be the biggest trigger warning I've had to put on an episode before because of how raw and how honest it was. And I've had people come on talk about drug addiction and alcohol abuse. I've talked about domestic and sexual abuse on there. So I mean, it's really no topics left unheard. I get I've heard political statements on there as well. I mean, it's everything for everyone. It's honest though. Um, I always tell them, don't shy away from sharing the truth. I mean, tell it like it is. I mean, share the honest truth with it. I don't want you to come on there and lie. I've talked about my personal stuff from my relationship with school. I've talked about my classmates. I mean, blasted them all on here. I've talked about my struggles with mental health and job. I've talked about job hunting. So I mean, there's something in it for everyone, but it's very much honest and very graphic and raw.
Yeah. I know you have a parental advisory on it. And even in your trailer, you're like, hey, we're going to cuss here. So get ready. You you don't play
Yeah.
around. You let everybody know right up front, what it is. So good for you. And it's interesting. Yeah, like you were saying, the theme of the show is that there is no theme. Like no themes off limits. Bring it. Let's just have good conversations.
Yeah. And that's been some of the best things. And a lot of people always ask me, well, how did you get the name? And it's like, how did Lethal Venom let the name come about? And when I started the idea process for the show, I wanted it to be truthful. And I thought, well, sometimes the truth hurts. And I know that some of the stuff I would be sharing on here would be very much hurtful to some people, but it's the honest truth about them. And the truth always sometimes can hurt. And so that's kind of how the name came to be. It was Venom's lethal, and same thing. The truth is truth. The truth hurts as well as venom hurts and can be lethal. So that's kind of how the name came about. It has a double meaning to it as well, but I wanted it to be. I wanted the name to be unique as well, and that was also a different thing for the difficult where the name came from. I wanted it to be Venom because I thought that was just like a short one word thing, and then people already had Venom taken, and I thought, wow, I want my show to be easy to search and it doesn't have multiple names with it. So I went with Poison, and then those kind of were taken as well. So I went with the plural take on them, venomous and poisonous, and of course those were taken. I thought, well, swear, I thought. So then I thought, well, maybe I need to add a word. So I put lethal venom in. That wasn't taken, so I just claimed it. I immediately claimed it. I thought I'm putting this as my podcast. I'm not letting anyone steal it from me. It's mine. And so that's kind of how the name came to be, was from that.
Nice. Great story. Great story. Now on these podcasts that you're doing, the how do you go about marketing them to increase listenership?
That's been the most challenging thing to me, and it's still something that this was a I had a lot of questions once I got out of that podcasting class, and this was one of them, was how do you market this show? The best way that I have found has been social media, and I know most people be like, well, duh, that would be the most simplest, easiest way to promote it, is like that, but it's been easy for me. Um, I have tried to promote it on social media as much as I can. I've also tried using the teasers and trailers for it as well as using hashtags. But how social media is that you don't know what will take off and what will not.
True.
And that's what anything. You don't know how well something on social media is going to go viral, and you don't know what's going to take off. For instance, I had one teaser trailer on Instagram get only maybe not even 50 views, but then the next one I post got like 2,000. So it's hard to determine and decipher what's going to work and what's not. Um, I've also learned that if I do collaborate with other guests, so if I'm tagging someone in a post and I add them as a collaborator, um, then if they accept it, the post goes onto their social media account as well. So you have my followers as well as their followers seeing it, so then they go on there and find it. So I've learned that's been helpful as well as collaborating with people. And then I've kind of posted it on just on LinkedIn. I've started posting them on there as well to kind of gain kind of a following on there, as well as showcase my work for potential if someone is on LinkedIn and likes what I do and sees all the work that I put in, if they're interested in hiring me for maybe a podcasting spot, then that I could put that in. All my work would be showcased on there as well,
Sure.
and which I technically do get paid to do podcasting, but it's not much, to be honest.
Right.
Um, but it's still income coming in. So I'd say technically call it a job. Some people could have different opinions on that, but that's kind of how I've marketed it's just social media and just using appropriate hashtags for the most part.
Nice. Now, how many episodes of Lethal Venom have you been able to put out so far?
I have posted, I think, as we're filming this now, I think which the episode count on everything is confusing because they count the preview and the trailer as one episode. And I don't count that because it's 3 minutes and I don't count that as a full episode. So if you
Right.
exclude the trailer, I think I've posted 28 episodes.
Excellent.
And but I have like 60 on back file.
Wow.
So I have 60 episodes recorded that is have not yet been edited and posted yet. So while
Nice.
I do only have like under 30, I easily could have 70 that I could go live. So
Yeah.
I've got a lot of episodes filmed or recorded
Nice.
that are still in the drafts a little bit.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. I mean, that's fantastic. Now, Lethal Venom is coming out how many times a week at this point?
It's weekly. I don't like to set a certain
Okay.
schedule. I don't want to be like, oh, there's going to be 2 episodes every week because I don't want to put it like a promise and guaranteed fat on there and then get people and then not fall through with it.
Sure. No, better to be safe. I totally understand that. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
so I just say weekly.
Right on. Now, with you having, 28 posted and all of those in the tank, so to speak, have you had a chance to look at monetizing the podcast at all?
Yeah, monetizing's been such a fun thing to try to learn because I still haven't had an accurate representation of like how it works. Spotify for podcasters has a monetizing feature on there. However, until you can actually get it monetized, it's I don't really get paid through ads.
Right.
Now, it's funny because I do get paid to do Lethal Venom. However, it's not. I don't get paid through ads. I get paid through the interview process. And I always, when people ask me how you get paid, it's always like, well, do I share that information with people or do I keep that private? Because normally when people ask, well, how much do you get paid? It's usually something you don't really freely talk about. I've learned
Oh, for
just from
sure. Yeah.
modern society and people are always like, well, how much do you make? And I thought, well, am I allowed to share a paycheck on here? I mean, you don't see normal people sharing their paychecks on there. So I thought, well,
For sure.
because I got, pa- I've gotten paid pretty well, but it's like, do I share that with people? I mean,
I
so
understand.
I've been hesitant to share how much I get paid because
Sure.
I don't know if I'm supposed to. But then, but then I was in a meeting with because I'm on part of the Podmatch legacy team, so I have meetings with them every month, and someone had actually shared their check on LinkedIn as a reward, and I thought, oh, so you can share it, but I thought, but my paycheck's too high, so I don't want to like share it. Like say someone made $10, like someone's that made $10 for their first month. I don't want to turn around and post something that's like $200 bill, like a $200 check. So I've always
Sure.
been like, well, I don't want to post my check and it's significantly higher than this person. So, but yeah, I've learned multiple monetization things, but the thing is that on those you have to reach a certain goal. Um, which I can give me 1 second, I can actually pull up the monetization things for Spotify because I posted all through there. Um, these are like the main factors that you have to be able to start get monetized for the Spotify Partner Program is what it's called.
Sure.
Um, you have to publish at least 12 episodes, and that's the only one I've checked off because I've posted 28. Got to get 12. You have to reach at least 10,000 consumption hours, so you have to reach a minimum of that within 30 days or in the last 30 days, as well as have at least 2,000 people stream the episode on Spotify. So you have to have at least 2,000 streams on Spotify within the last 30 days. And I'm nowhere near those two numbers yet. So it's until you reach that, I can't really monetize the show there. There's also been ways of you can have subscriptions on here as well, but this is my controversial take on subscriptions. I don't like people that do subscription based because I think that's scam.
Mm,
I think that's real scammy to do. I don't think people should have to pay to listen to a podcast. And people might think I'm crazy for that. That might be controversial for me to have, but I have literally heard people that make Patreon accounts that just have a podcast that's exclusively on there,
hmm.
and they're having to pay to be able to listen to it. And I just don't like people that do that because there's so many options on here. Like Spotify is free to listen, Apple Podcasts is free, and I know there's other podcasts on there on other platforms on here that are free as well. YouTube, I mean, it's free. You don't have to pay for a YouTube subscription to be able to listen to my show. And
Sure.
as much as I would like subscriptions on here to help have some more income in, I just don't want people to pay to listen to my show because that will very much significantly my numbers would drop as well as people because everyone can afford like even if it was like $1.99, most people can't afford $1.99. And they shouldn't have to pay to listen to a show that they could listen to on Spotify or Apple for free.
Sure. No, I can appreciate that viewpoint completely. I appreciate you sharing that. So thank you. Do you you said you do all the work yourself, in terms of all these podcasts. So are you utilizing AI for any of that stuff? And if you are, what are you using? And how's it working?
So the main thing that I have used AI for has been the artwork. I tried the best I could to try to get I wanted someone to design it myself. I'm not an artist. I'm not, I don't clarify myself as an artist. I can't draw. I can't just, I don't have a field of expertise in digital art. And I wanted someone professional to do it because I wanted it to look good, but I also wanted it to be not a crappy job. And so I had gone to a few people. I had one girl that I knew, she recommended that she would do the podcast artwork for me. And so I submitted an idea and never heard back from her. So I didn't really fall through with that. I didn't really go force her enough and I just kind of put it on the back. I just kind of let it go. Um, well, then I had another guy said that he would do the podcast and artwork. And I said, well, how much are you wanting to do? So I thought I'd pay you to do it. He wanted $50 for it, and I thought, $50 to do that? I thought, and I was still in college at the time, and I thought that's $50 I could go towards food or
Right.
like groceries and stuff. So I thought, I'm not wasting $50 on that. And I told him, I said, no, I'm not paying $50 for that. Well, then I kind of got into this huge thing of, well, now I'm stuck. But said, I'm just going to start doing it my own. So I got on Canva and I tried the best I could on there to think of a podcast idea. I used templates. I tried using other things that other users had put on there that have posted. I I used that religiously, and then I kind of got on Photoshop because the Adobe stuff was kind of free for Auburn students at the time. It was just free, and they supported it for you. That I didn't have to pay. Um, which I wasn't a professional in Photoshop. However, I was in a photography class at the time where we did have to kind of use Photoshop a little bit to help edit photos. So I kind of had a little bit of a background in it, but I was not a professional at it. Um, but on there was an AI tool, and I thought, but uh, but of course I said, well, I'm just going to use AI, but I had to make sure that if I used AI there wasn't any legal trouble that would fall suit with it because it was still fairly new at the time. AI was still pretty much had just taken off and had actually started getting national attention. And it wasn't perfect at the time, so there was a lot of error and there was a lot of trial and a lot of success stories from it, but also a lot of very bad glitches and errors when using AI. So I had to make sure that if I did use AI completely art, it would be legally accepted and it would not cause any legal trouble, as well as it would it be allowed and do people would people recommend AI based artwork.
Hmm.
And of course, when I started doing it, all the podcasts at the time were not AI generated. So I was really hesitant of using AI, but nothing on Google and other platforms said you couldn't use AI. It would not cause trouble.
Yeah.
So I kind of used it. I hate saying that I used AI, but I did use it to help get the generic, like the general graphics of it. But I will say, like the text and font was on me. I did come up with the font for that. And the parental sticker, I did add that in there as well. That was not AI generated. I did use that. But technically, everything else on there is AI. The background is, the cup is, the coloring of it is. Everything was just based off Photoshop AI. And the font and just kind of the additional stuff in there, like the parental sticker, all that was added from me. So it's majority of it's AI, but there's just like a small percentage that it was I did put my spin on it as well.
I appreciate you sharing that. All right, man. Excellent. Um, I honestly, that's great info about AI, and I can appreciate how you feel about it. It's like we hate to use it when we use it, type of
Yeah.
thing. So I get it. I usually try to fit in a corny question, with all of my folks when I bring them on here, and it's kind of time for that right now with where we are in the program. When it comes to doing your podcasts, what is it about doing your podcasts that you love the most? And what is it about doing your podcast that you just absolutely hate the most?
Um, well, before I got on Podmatch, it was actually I love just being able to share my stories and just be able to finally have it published. But since being on the platform, I really have enjoyed interviewing people.
Hmm.
I always expected my show to have guests on it, but I didn't really expect every episode to have a guest on it, but that's kind of just how it's kind of fallen into play. Now, I do try to put my own solo episodes in there as well. However, I get a good bit of requests every day from people that want to be on my show that I kind of put them on there as well. And I've really much enjoyed just interviewing different people and having their stories shared on my podcast. I really enjoyed doing it. So that I really love just the interviewing aspect of it. I wouldn't technically say there's anything I really hate about it. If I had to say something, I think the process and I think the amount of planning it took was kind of I hated that a lot. I kind of wish I started the podcast a little earlier than I did
Hmm.
because I think if I had started this podcast when I really wanted to, like 4 years ago, I would have been happy because then I could chronicle my transition from home to college. I could literally have a lot of good episodes in between then and posting it. So I think just for me, the thing I hated it was I didn't start it sooner because I've loved everything about it. I've loved editing it. I've loved sharing people's stories on there and share as well as sharing mine and just the overall thing of it I've really liked about it. If I did have to say one thing I hate about it was the putting it off.
Nice. Nice. You can tell how much you love doing what you're doing, man. I love that. So when people are like, I don't really hate anything about it, that's actually really cool. So I get it. I really do. The before I hit you with, what is normally our last question, let me make sure I get contact info. Okay, so how can people find you on the socials? How can they find you? Is it a website? Is it social media? Best way to reach Noah if they want to talk to you some more or invite you to be on a show or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I'm not sure if your podcast is video or audio only, but from the graphics here,
Both.
it's basically all on here. I will say the graphics, all this was from me. This was not all AI based, so this was all based off Canva. So I did all this. It took about 40 minutes. I know it looks like something you could do in 2 minutes, but it took 40 minutes because I was
Nice.
indecisive. But yeah, the podcast is available wherever you get podcasts from. I'm on all the major platforms. For social media wise, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. It's Lethal Venom Podcast on there. Facebook, Twitter, and I would say Blue Sky as well. It's Noah's Podcast on there. I'm most active on Facebook a lot for the Noah's Podcast, and well, I'm mainly active on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook the most. Twitter, I just started, so I'm trying to get that up and going. And then YouTube, it's Noah's Podcast as well. Um, to get Lethal Venom, you can get it on there as well. All three of my podcasts get posted on the YouTube page, um, as well as all the updates get posted on Facebook. But the Lethal Venom has its own Instagram page. And if you would like to have me as a guest, or if you want to appear on my show as a guest, feel free to email me. It's lethalvenompod@gmail.com. That's probably the best way you can get in touch with me if you would like interested in having me on as a guest, or if you would like to come on my show and if you have a story that you'd like to share, just feel free to email me and we could work something out there. But those are usually the best ways to find me and get in contact with me.
Perfect. All right. Love it. We got all that. We'll have some of that stuff in the show notes for everybody. Noah, man, I love everything you brought today, and I love your story and what you're doing. And your podcast is great. I really enjoyed listening to it.
Thank
Now,
you.
got to hit you with a tough question now, because here we go. You've been through it. You've started three podcasts. I mean, you've got Lethal Venom, which is taken off for you. So, last question that I usually ask folks is, what is your best piece of advice to other podcasters that are out there who are not quite where you are yet?
The best advice that I've told myself during this whole podcasting journey has been don't let people's opinions affect what you want for the show.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is, say if you're a new podcaster and you have a good podcasting idea where you talk about arts and crafts, if you're real passionate about that show, do it. I mean, the best thing, the only thing, worst thing that would happen is it doesn't take off. But you don't know if it will ever take off if you don't try. This was how all three of the podcasts were. It was mainly taking a risk and was taking a chance with it. And even though I had people that were real hesitant about the podcast and they're like, well, I just don't know if it will exceed what you wanted. It's done so well, and I've actually been surprised myself at how well it's done. And that's all because I didn't let those people's opinions of I don't think it's a good show. I don't really like the idea for it. I don't all that. So I would say that if you have an idea for a podcast and you really are passionate about it, do it because more than likely there is someone out there that is wanting a podcast focused on that certain topic. Like if you're passionate about cars, I'm pretty sure there's someone out there that is equally as passionate about cars and would like to have a podcast where they hear someone talk about cars and share a same similar interest in it as well. So if you think that your idea is dumb or is not as popular, more chances are that there is someone out there that is wanting that podcast and they would be so happy that you posted it and post on there religiously. So I would say don't be scared to if you have an idea, go for it.
Nice. Nice. No, great advice. Great advice, man. I love it. I really do. And I know that's coming from the heart and it's, from what you've actually learned, from really being in the business. So, it means that much more to everybody. I mean, 3 podcasts, you've learned a few things, man. So
Yeah.
good for you. And hey, host of 3 different podcasts, Southern Reads, Music Talks, and Lethal Venom. Noah May. Noah, thank you for being on today, man, for sharing your story, for talking about your podcast and sharing such great advice with everybody. It's been great having you on here and getting to know you, man. Really and truly, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and it was a complete honor to be on here, and thank you so much for letting me share some advice, and I hope some people um learn something from it, and I just have appreciate you for having me on, so thank you.
You got it. Thank you so much. Folks, that's been another awesome episode of the Podcaster Nation. And the reason why we have such great people on, such fantastic podcasters, is because this is the podcast that's about podcasters, it's for podcasters, and it's done by podcasters. This is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So keep sailing.